Hello everyone and welcome to a video that I sincerely hope none of you actually to be watching. It's Tana here, and look, we're not lawyers. Let's just get that out of the way right now. We're just a group of deeply curious individuals who also happen to have a morbid fascination with the legal system because, let's be honest, sometimes truth is stranger than fiction. Today, we're diving headfirst into the wild world of crime and punishment. From the surprisingly nuanced world of abusive language to the, well, less nuanced realm of anatomy murder, we're covering it all. And yes, before you ask, anatomy murder is a real thing. Don't Google it, just trust us. We'll explain it in horrifying detail later. Buckle up, folks, it's going to be a bumpy ride. Alright, let's kick things off with something we've all likely been guilty of at some point, saying some not-so-nice things. But did you know that in some places, your potty mouth can actually land you in hot water with the law? We're talking fines, my friends. We're talking potential jail time, depending on the severity and the context. Who knew that telling someone to get bent could have such serious consequences? Now, before you start panicking about that time you called your roommate a cantankerous buffoon after they ate your leftovers, it's important to note that context and intent play a huge role here. Yelling obscenities in a crowded place, inciting violence, or directing hate speech at someone. Those are the real no-nos. So basically, just be a decent human being and you should be fine. But seriously, who knew words could be so powerful? It's like that old saying goes, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can get you a court date. Okay, moving on from verbal sparring to the slightly more physical realm of fray. Essentially, this is your classic no-holds-barred brawl in a public place. We're talking punches thrown, hair pulled, maybe even a chair or two flying through the air. You know, the kind of scene that makes you want to grab some popcorn and watch from a safe distance. Or maybe just call the authorities, because here's the thing. A fray isn't just two drunk dudes having a disagreement outside a pub. It's a serious offense that can land you in some serious trouble. We're talking fines, community service, and even jail time depending on the severity of the brawl and any injuries involved. So the next time you feel the urge to settle a disagreement with your fists, just remember, violence is never the answer. Unless it's in a Tarantino movie. Then it's art, probably. Ah, air travel, that glorious experience of being crammed into a metal tube with hundreds of strangers, all while hurtling through the air at hundreds of miles per hour. What could possibly go wrong? Well, as it turns out, quite a lot, especially if someone decides to indulge in a little something called air rage. Now, we're not just talking about the occasional eye roll at a crying baby or the passive-aggressive sighing when someone reclines their seat a little too far back. No. Air rage is a whole other beast. We're talking screaming at flight attendants, punching seats, maybe even trying to open the emergency exit door mid-flight. It's basically the mile-high equivalent of a toddler throwing a tantrum, but with potentially much more serious consequences. Because let me tell you, the authorities do not mess around when it comes to air rage. We're talking hefty fines, bans from airlines, and even potential jail time. So, next time you're feeling stressed on a flight, just remember, deep breaths, noise-canceling headphones, and maybe a stiff drink. But not too stiff, or you might end up in the next chapter. Chapter 4. Alcohol-related crimes. When a good time goes very, very wrong. Let's be honest, folks. Alcohol and bad decisions often go together like peanut butter and jelly. But while a hangover might be the worst consequence of a night out for some, for others, it can be the start of a very serious legal battle. We're talking about alcohol-related crimes, and they come in all shapes and sizes. Public intoxication, drunk driving, disorderly conduct. These are just the tip of the iceberg. The penalties for these offenses can range from a slap on the wrist, think fines and community service, to a one-way ticket to the slammer. We're talking jail time, folks. Look, we're not saying you can't enjoy a beer or two responsibly, but if you're going to imbibe, do it responsibly. Know your limits, pace yourself, and for the love of all that is holy, don't get behind the wheel of a car. Because trust me, the only thing worse than a hangover is a hangover accompanied by a court summons. Chapter 5. Anatomy Murder. This one's not for the faint of heart. Buckle up, buttercups, because we're about to delve into some seriously dark territory. Today, we're talking about anatomy murder, a crime so gruesome, so deeply unsettling, that it's enough to make even the most hardened, true crime enthusiast squirm. So, what exactly is anatomy murder? Well, it involves the killing of a person for the purpose of stealing their body. Not for some twisted ransom scheme, not for some bizarre ritual, but for something arguably more disturbing: dissection. We're talking about people being murdered and then carved up, their organs and tissues sold off to the highest bidder, often to medical schools or unscrupulous doctors in need of teaching materials. It's a chilling reminder of a darker time in history, when the pursuit of scientific knowledge sometimes came at a horrifying human cost. Thankfully, anatomy murder is incredibly rare these days, thanks in part to stricter regulations and ethical guidelines. But the fact that it even exists is a testament to the depths of human depravity. Chapter 6. Arson, playing with fire and facing the consequences. Alright, let's talk about arson, shall we? Because setting things on fire? Not cool at all. We're not talking about accidentally setting your kitchen on fire trying to make a gourmet grilled cheese. We've all been there, right? We're talking about the deliberate and malicious act of setting fire to property. Whether it's a house, a car, a dumpster, or even a field of dry grass, arson is no joke. It's dangerous, it's destructive, and it can have devastating consequences. We're talking about people losing their homes, their businesses, and sometimes even their lives. And the penalties for arson? Let's just say they're nothing to sneeze at. We're talking hefty fines, lengthy prison sentences, and a permanent mark on your record that screams, "I like to play with fire." Chapter 7. Assault. From shoves to sucker punches, it's all bad. Now let's talk about a crime that, unfortunately, is all too common: assault. And no, we're not talking about the delicious kind you put on your pasta. We're talking about the act of intentionally or recklessly causing another person to fear immediate harm. This can range from a simple shove or a slap to a full-on fistfight, and everything in between. Now, the severity of the assault will determine the severity of the punishment. A minor shove might land you a fine or a slap on the wrist. Figuratively, of course, because that would be assault. But anything more serious, especially if it involves weapons or serious injuries, can result in some serious jail time. So the next time you feel your temper flaring, just walk away. Seriously, walk it off. Okay, so we've talked about assault in general, but now let's get into a more specific and more serious category: assault occasioning actual bodily harm. As the name suggests, this type of assault involves, well, actually harming someone. We're talking bruises, cuts, broken bones, the whole 9 yards. Basically, if you inflict pain and suffering on someone that goes beyond a simple shove or a slap, you're entering into actual bodily harm territory. And trust me, you don't want to be here. The penalties for this type of assault are much more severe than those for common assault. We're talking potential jail time, hefty fines, and a criminal record that will follow you around like a bad smell. So the next time you're tempted to get physical with someone, just remember, violence is never the answer, unless it's in self-defense. Then, by all means, channel your inner ninja. Let's talk about a special brand of bad idea that often goes hand in hand with other criminal shenanigans: assault with intent to resist arrest. Picture this. You're about to be apprehended by law enforcement. For whatever reason, we're not here to judge yet. And instead of cooperating, you decide to unleash your inner action hero. You kick, you scream, you bite, you maybe even try to deploy a well-aimed groin shot. Congratulations, my friend, you've just upgraded your charges from potentially manageable to, oh dear God, what have I done? Assaulting an officer is never a good look, but when it's done with the intention of evading arrest, it's a whole new level of stupid. The penalties can be severe, often involving additional jail time, hefty fines, and a permanent record that screams, "I'm not good at making rational decisions under pressure." And last but not least, let's talk about the crime of being a really, really bad friend. Assisting an offender. We've all heard the phrase accessories to the crime, right? Well, this is basically that, but in real life and with potentially much less glamorous outcomes. We're talking about helping someone evade justice, whether it's providing them with a place to hide, disposing of evidence, or even just lying to the police. Now, it's important to note that there's a big difference between being a loyal friend and actively obstructing justice. Helping a friend in need is one thing, but if you're knowingly helping them avoid the consequences of their actions, you're crossing a line. And trust me, the law doesn't take kindly to line crossers. We're talking serious penalties here, folks: fines, jail time, the whole shebang. So, the next time a friend asks you to help them cover up a crime, just say no. Because real friends don't let friends become accomplices. So, there you have it, folks. A whirlwind tour of some of the most common, and some not-so-common crimes, and their potential consequences. Remember, this video was made for entertainment purposes only, and should not be considered legal advice. If you find yourself in any legal hot water, do yourself a favor and call an actual lawyer. Because trust me, even the most well-intentioned advice from a YouTuber can only get you so far in a court of law. But most importantly, stay safe, make good choices, and try not to end up as a cautionary tale in our next video.